Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing my 2019 Round 6 AFL tips and predictions. So before I start this video, mainly go into everything, I just want to talk about that last week I only got 3 tips right, and the week before that I got 8 out of 9 tips right. So I went from having a pretty much perfect week to going and having a terrible week. But let's be honest here, if you guys got more than pretty much 5, if you got 5 and up in the tips last week, then, that's pretty good. But I don't know too many people that got more than 4. I'm pretty sure everyone really got 3 and 4. Obviously, I got 3. I did not do well in the tips at all. But this is a different week, so let's start this week with a better open mind on my tips. So the first one we're going with is Richmond versus Melbourne. Obviously, massive game. It's the Anzac Eve game. Both teams are coming off a 4-day break. Obviously, Melbourne, I think they played in the afternoon and Richmond played at night, so I guess they got a couple hours there or whatever. But obviously, it's just a really disappointing season so far for Melbourne. They're currently 17th on the leaderboard with a 1-4 start. They're pretty much, their top 4 chances are pretty much gone, but they're still trying to, they still have the hope to make the 8, and I think all Melbourne fans should still have some hope in there, but, it's not looking good. And I think that as a Richmond fan, obviously, they have a good record against Melbourne. It's at the MCG, and I think in Melbourne, I think Melbourne are going to fight their heart out. Look what happened last week. Melbourne versus St Kilda. I have it up right now. Melbourne scored 55 points to St Kilda's 95. I just don't see how that can happen, considering Melbourne was supposed to be a top 4 team this year, and St Kilda was supposed to be a bottom 4 team. So it just shows that anything in the AFL for pretty much any year can really happen. But as I said, Richmond, they have a good record against Melbourne. I go for Richmond, and I'm confident that Richmond will get the win. And yeah, so I will be backing in and tipping Richmond to beat Melbourne this week. But even though let's just say Melbourne do lose this, which I think they will, their season's still not over. They'll be 1-5, and it'll be very hard to come back. But, after pretty much Richmond versus Melbourne, I think they have Hawthorn, which is pretty much another hard game. But then they'll have Gold Coast at Metricon for round 8. So that should be maybe a game they can get. But then, round 9, it's at Optus Stadium against West Coast. Look, it's going to be a very difficult start to the year. But if just talking to you Melbourne fans who are watching my video right now, don't give up hope. I think that there is still a chance that you guys might make the 8. But who really knows at this point? Anyway, let's move on to Essendon versus Collingwood. Another big game. Now, I was, very struggling on who to tip in this one. I obviously, out of the 5 games this year, I think I've only tipped Collingwood twice, and yeah, I definitely think that I probably need to start tipping Collingwood a little bit more, but that's not that's not what I'm going off with my decision this week. So basically, for last week, I actually looked at one of the rounds, which was Hawthorn versus Geelong. I really couldn't decide out of it, and if you guys watched my tips and predictions video last week, you'll know that I actually went back into the 2018 season and saw who won there to pretty much decide it. That's why I pretty much backed in Hawthorn. But I'm pretty much going to do the same thing with Collingwood. Even though I was wrong with Hawthorn, I think that, Collingwood, I think they've won their last 2 against Essendon. Essendon are obviously in a lot of form. They're 3-2. Collingwood are also 3-2, just with a better percentage. I think it's going to be an absolute massive game. And then, I think Essendon have a massive chance to win this. But yeah, I'm just pretty much going to tip in Collingwood just based on the fact that they've won the last 2. And I think it's going to be a very close game. And I do think that deep inside, I think that Essendon actually might win this. But I don't know. I just think that Collingwood will win. So yeah, I am tipping in Collingwood to beat Essendon. But it's going to be a very good game. Anyway, the next one that we have is Port Adelaide versus North Melbourne. This is another interesting game. It seems to be every game that we see is interesting. Obviously, West Coast versus Port Adelaide. Did you guys see that game? It was, wow, I can't even believe what happened. It was at Optus Stadium. West Coast, the reigning premiers, 53-95. Port Adelaide's win. Wow, that was such an upset. And now Port Adelaide are actually 5th on the leaderboard. But, I think it's going to be North Melbourne. Obviously, they're last on the leaderboard right now. I think at North Melbourne, they still think there might be a chance to make the 8. I don't see that happening. I don't really know. I just don't think that North Melbourne can make the 8. I had them pretty much at 12th this year, but who really knows? They might finish lower than that. I don't really know. I don't know. North Melbourne fans, comment in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of the season so far? So I'd definitely like to know. But yeah, Port Adelaide versus North Melbourne. I think that Port Adelaide should get the win, and it is at Adelaide Oval, so I am definitely going to be backing in Port Adelaide for this one. I just can't see them losing. I don't know. I think this will pretty much keep North Melbourne in last, and I think that, yeah, I think it's going to be, I think that North Melbourne do have a chance, but yeah, I am going to be backing in Port Adelaide because I just can't see them. I just can't see North Melbourne really winning this week. But anyway, the next one we have is Gold Coast versus Brisbane. Both teams have actually been playing really good this year. I mean, Gold Coast are 11th. They've won 3 games. Not bad. Obviously, Brisbane were pretty much guaranteed they were going to rise this year. I mean, their last year, for 2018, that was a pretty good year. They lost a couple games pretty much under 5 points in that. So, you always knew they were going to do pretty decent this year. And obviously, I think that both teams are in form. Both teams really want to show that to their fans that they can win, and I think that it's going to be a really interesting game just based on the fact that one of these teams wants to keep their top 8 chances alive, and I think that whoever wins this game will be the one that, gets close to making the 8 or actually does, and I just can't see that really happening for Gold Coast. I had them as a bottom 4 team this year, and I think a lot of people did, so I just really can't see that happening. I'm sorry, Gold Coast fans, I don't know how many of you are actually out there or how many of you are actually watching this video right now, but I guess what you have on your side is it is at Metricon Stadium, so obviously that pretty much gives a upwards, it's still in Queensland, but it gives, Gold Coast the advantage here. But as I said, I will be tipping in Brisbane, as I do believe that Brisbane most likely will make the 8 this year, as their form has been decent, even though they got smashed by Collingwood. It was not a good loss, but, I think that Brisbane still, they can come back from that, and I think that Gold Coast, it's the perfect week to do it, and yeah, so I do believe that Brisbane will win this one. I am backing in and tipping in Brisbane to win. Anyway, the next one we have is St Kilda versus Adelaide. Wow, St Kilda, how good have they been? It's been pretty good their year. Also, before I do this tip, guys, I just want to tell you that I'm actually recording this video earlier than what I usually do, so I really don't know who I'm going to tip. So if the team that I tip for this game, I think that I might actually change it later in the week. So if you're going off on my tips for this game, St Kilda versus Adelaide, please don't go off on my tip this time or whatever, because yeah, I just don't really know if I would trust this tip, because I think that I might be changing it later through the week. But anyway, it's St Kilda versus Adelaide. It's at Marvel Stadium, and Adelaide have been very disappointing this year. I knew they weren't going to be good. I don't know why. I just had a feeling they weren't going to be that good. They did win a good game, though, against Gold Coast at Adelaide. It gave them a massive percentage boost. But currently, they are 12th, and their top 8 chances aren't, they aren't gone, obviously. I think anyone can really make the top 8 still. So I think that, Adelaide, their chances aren't gone, and I think this would be a good week for them to get the win. So I think that St Kilda, even though they're the team in form, really, they've been really good, and they're currently second on the leaderboard, I just don't think they will beat Adelaide at Marvel. I really don't know, though. You know what? It's such a hard one. I just can't even tell you, because my gut instinct is telling me to go for Adelaide. But, I just think that a lot of people are getting on that St Kilda bandwagon right now. And who knows, later through the week, I might do it. So, for this tip, I'm just pretty much going to say Adelaide for now. But yeah, if you guys are tipping and you're taking my advice for who to tip, I'd just say, go for who you think's going to win for Adelaide versus St Kilda, because I have really no idea. Anyway, the next one that we have is Sydney versus GWS. I don't think this game is really going to be as big as it should be. I mean, it's at the SCG. Sydney aren't too good this season, let's be honest here. Sydney have not done well at all, and I think it just comes down to how much fight does Sydney have left in them. Do they want to disappoint Buddy and their fans, or, do they just want to keep fighting? I think that Buddy is being... he's really been carrying them. It was like, I just think that Buddy was really the only one who showed a solid performance against Richmond. And I think that if they want to win, they need way better assisting to Buddy, because there was this time in the game, I don't know if you guys saw it, Richmond versus Sydney, where Buddy actually got matched up against Basher Hooley, who, Buddy's like a foot taller than him, let's be honest here. And they didn't even pass it to him. They didn't even, look for him. They just slowed it down, which means Richmond got numbers back, and it just didn't work out. Obviously, I think that Sydney's game plan, the inability to kick to Buddy is a bad thing, and I I'm going to be tipping in GWS because I just don't think Sydney can do it. I mean, you know, they should be really looking for Buddy a lot more than what they are. Even though he kicked like 4 goals against Richmond, a lot of those goals, I'm pretty sure like 2 of them actually came from free kicks that probably weren't there. I think everyone watching was saying Buddy got away with a couple of things against Richmond, but if they actually did kick it to him right, and that Buddy could end up with like 6 that game. So, you know, I do think that if Sydney want to win this game, they need way better delivery to Buddy, and they need just, you know, a better game plan and more attacking going into it. Anyway, for the next one we have is Fremantle versus Bulldogs. Both teams really want to make the 8 this year, and Fremantle are actually pushing for a top 4 spot. Obviously, Bulldogs have gone down to 14th now, and they've lost their past 3, so I think they've definitely disappointed after their hot start, and I do think they still will probably finish in the bottom 6 teams, but who really knows at this point? Fremantle, believe it or not, I was talking with the mate at the start of the year, and we actually did say we think the Fremantle have a massive chance on making the 8. I have talked about this in another video, even though a lot of people were telling me, oh, Fremantle and Brisbane, oh, they're probably just going to finish, you know, maybe 8th to 12th. I said, you know, it's a massive possibility, but I think Brisbane might make the 8 here, and so will Fremantle. So I think it definitely will be an interesting one on who makes the 8. I think that it's either going to be one of the two, Brisbane or Fremantle. As I said, I think Fremantle have an easy draw this year. I think they play a lot of games at Optus, so that's just what I personally think. But yes. Anyway, yeah, this game is at Optus Stadium, so I do expect Fremantle to get the win. I mean, they've actually had some really good form. They've really, like, their tall forward line seems to really be working out, and I think that even though they don't have a lot of smalls running through there, like they've got Matera and Walters, but I don't know, I think their tall forward line is actually working, but they don't want to end up like Adelaide from 2017, where Adelaide had a massive, you know, tall forward line. Then when it came to the grand final, they pretty much got absolutely shredded by Richmond small. So I think that Fremantle don't want to have that, but who knows? Matt Taberner and Jesse Hogan have been working really well in the forward line. Cam McCarthy, I think he's actually injured at the moment. When he comes back, he'll probably be in there. And I think that they've got to get Rory Lobb to play a ruck position. I mean, he wants to play more forward, but I just think that for the team's sake, he needs to play ruck, rotating with maybe Matt Taberner or something in the forward line. I don't know if Matt Taberner can really play ruck, but I think he has before. Like, you know, a pinch-in ruck, like a, you know, tall forward that can go into the ruck. So I think that is a possibility. Anyway, the next one we have is Hawthorn versus Carlton at the University of Tasmania Stadium. So even though both teams have pretty much been disappointing, I mean, Hawthorn did lose against Geelong and have now sent themselves into 13th position with only 2 wins. They've lost their last 2, Hawthorn have, but Carlton, they had a pretty good win last week, and I think that Carlton, they're going in, they're confident now, they've got a little bit of form, but this is at Tasmania, and I just think that Hawthorn are a way better side, and I just can't see Hawthorn losing this one. If Hawthorn lost this one, I think their fans are going to be really angry, and I know a Hawthorn fan named Brody, shoutouts man if you're watching this video, and he's going to be absolutely really disappointed if Hawthorn were to lose to Carlton, and yeah, I just can't see it happening, so yeah, I think Hawthorn will be getting the win for this week, but yeah, who really knows? As I said, anything can pretty much happen this season. Anyway, for the next one we have is Geelong versus West Coast at GMHBA Stadium. Wow, is this a big game? West Coast obviously coming off a very disappointing loss to Port Adelaide. They are really going to want to redeem themselves against Geelong. You know, Geelong, they're a big name team at Geelong. Everyone at Geelong pretty much loves their team. They all come to watch them. And Geelong get a pretty big crowd every single week. So I don't know how many West Coast supporters there will be. They'll probably be way outnumbered. But, you know, West Coast, even though their fans might not be at the game, they definitely need to please their fans back at home. They really need to get the win against Geelong at GMHBA. But yeah, I just don't know if I can see it happening. Geelong have a really good chemistry, it seems to be, with all the young guys. They seem to embrace playing for each other and with each other. That kind of sounds a little bit wrong, but you guys get what I mean. But yeah, they kind of embrace playing for each other and really showing the team, you know, that they should be there and that they deserve to be in the grand final and in the top 4, which obviously they've disappointed in the past couple of years. So they think they deserve to be there, and they're really trying, so I will be backing in and tipping in Geelong to beat the West Coast Eagles, but yeah, who knows, West Coast might disappoint Geelong at home like Port Adelaide disappointed them at home, But yeah, I don't really know. Anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for all the latest AFL videos and AFL content. Comment in the comment section down below your tips and predictions and what you guys think about my tips and predictions. I definitely would really like to know. If you disagree with my opinion or you disagree with someone else's opinion in the comment section, you don't need to go and give them hate. You don't need to, do all that type of stuff. You don't need to have a hate comment towards me. I'm sure we can have a very good conversation about why you disagree with my tip, and then, we can figure it out, and maybe you can persuade me to tip someone else. I don't really know, but anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my gaming channel and my IRL/vlogging channels, link in the description down below. So make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.